Good afternoon. Welcome to August. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. We'll talk a lot about wildfires across the state and how they're showing up in our Seattle area air in a minute. I'm Paige Browning with today's top stories. It's Monday, August 3rd. One of the worst fires in Washington state history, and likely the worst in Spokane, took off over the weekend. A complex comprising 3 fires there has destroyed at least 700 structures, including homes, across 8,000 acres. 67,000 people, which is a large portion of Spokane's population, have been evacuated. There are reports that some may have been able to go home today, but officials in Spokane do not know when most people will be able to return home. Washington National Guard Adjunct General Gent Welsh says the burned area is still very dangerous.
I can tell you today that that's a war zone. As people go in there and to just grapple with the damage and grapple with the fact that their lives are forever changed. Some of these folks may not recover. Some of those folks may not rebuild in there. And it's going to continue to be, I would say, a very significant emotional event.
There are no reported casualties at this time. The fires are 0% contained, and these are among 17 major wildfires burning in Washington state, the largest of which remains the Kaiser Canyon fire in north central Washington that's charred more than 136,000 acres. Northwest of Leavenworth is the Little Giant fire that's estimated to be at 51,000 acres. That's the most active along the south shore of Lake Chelan. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson has requested emergency assistance from FEMA for 6 counties dealing with wildfires. So far, FEMA's authorized the use of federal funds for firefighting for Spokane and Okanogan County. Some of the Spokanites forced to flee the wildfires have returned to their devastated neighborhoods. Northwest Public Broadcasting's Anna King has more from the scene.
Britt Wilson was standing outside of her parents' home in North Spokane. It was just ashes. There were hulking trucks working in the background to shut down the gas lines.
You see these things on the news and you think like, oh, that's awful, right? Like you feel for people, but you don't get it until it's you.
Many seniors and families have evacuated to Spokane's convention center. Others are filling up hotels in town. Many appear spent from exhaustion and worry. In Spokane, Washington, I'm Anna King.
A reminder, there is a statewide burn ban until the end of September. And smoke from wildfires is expected to arrive in western Washington today. We'll have much more on this later in the show. A few Seattle stories we're keeping tabs on. The city of Seattle will pay former Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes more than $500,000 to buy out the remainder of his contract. The total is close to $600,000. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson asked for the former chief's resignation last week in the fallout from the shooting at Seattle Center days earlier. Interim Chief Andre Sales is now leading the department. Meanwhile, 10 venues and event organizers are calling on Seattle Mayor Wilson to turn the city's CCTV cameras back on. King 5 reports that the Seattle Storm, Capitol Hill Block Party, the Space Needle, and several others sent a letter to the mayor today asking for cameras in the Stadium District and Pioneer Square to be reactivated. They also asked for the program to be expanded to places like Seattle Center that host frequent large events. Mayor Wilson paused the CCTV pilot program back in March for a privacy audit. Also happening locally, King County Metro announced an upcoming major bus service expansion today. On August 29th, the system will get 9 new bus routes, and several routes will get expanded service hours and more frequent trips. The expansion's heavily focused on South King County and better connecting with new light rail stations. King County also announced it's expanding its Metro Flex program. It's election season. Voters have just a little over 24 hours to get ballots in for Washington's August primary. Scott Greenstone has details.
All over Western Washington, Democrats in Congress and the State House and Senate are facing challengers, some from within their own party. The primary isn't expected to oust many, if any, incumbents. The top 2 vote-getters will go forward to November. Instead, it will show how vulnerable are Democrats like State Senate Majority Leader Jamie Peterson to losing re-election. Voters have until 8 p.m. Tuesday to drop their ballots off at a drop box. That's recommended over mailing them this close to counting. Voters who didn't receive or lost their ballots can go to a vote center. There are 57 statewide, from Bellingham to Lumen Field in Seattle to the Pacific County Courthouse on the Southwest Coast. More info on Washington Secretary of State's website. Scott Greenstone, KUOW News.
And let's bring our attention a bit to the south of us, because campaign spending has been bursting in 2 Southwest Washington legislative races. OPB's Eric Newman reports that Democrats want to flip seats there to get a state supermajority.
Residents of Washington State's 17th and 18th legislative districts are seeing an increase in political attack ads before the primary election. These districts cover parts of Clark County. This year, Democrats are hoping to flip the 4 House seats in the 17th and 18th, according to Shasti Conrad with the State Democratic Party.
And we're hopeful, a number of districts around the state, but particularly in Southwest Washington, we feel like this is one of our best opportunities to get us closer to supermajorities.
So far, outside political action groups have spent more than $450,000 to prevent the 4 Democratic candidates from winning, according to state campaign records. I'm Eric Newman reporting.
What a weekend. Some Seafair attendees are seeking answers after the festival's massive boat party quickly turned confusing and chaotic. Kate Stone has more.
The popular log boom on Lake Washington offers $1,000 passes for boaters to tie up from early Friday morning through Sunday afternoon, getting up close to the hydroplane races and the Blue Angel Show. This year, organizers replaced the traditional timber floating logs with plastic. But as winds battered Lake Washington Saturday, the boom began breaking apart, sending huge pieces floating away, along with the unmoored boats, which began colliding. Multiple witnesses and boat owners told KUOW they were not given clear directions about what to do afterward. Seafair organizers posted an update Sunday morning saying the boom was repaired, but did not comment on the breakdown or the damage it caused. Kate Stone, KUOW News.
KUOW reached out to Seafair and the Coast Guard for a response. You can always count on Jimothy. The Mariners will be showing their love this week for the beloved Ballard area raccoon. Wednesday and Friday, the M's are doing a ticket deal that comes with a special edition Jimothy shirt. $2 from every ticket sold will go to the Ballard Food Bank. Other fundraisers inspired by the raccoon with short spine syndrome have raised more than $45,000 for the food bank. Now for our feature story. Wildfires are growing in eastern Washington, and smoke has started to descend on the Puget Sound region. An air quality alert's been in effect for much of the region since noon today, and thicker smoke is expected to darken our skies later this evening. Days that are literally darker are expected ahead. Here's KUOW's Kim Malcolm talking with environment reporter John Ryan about what to expect.
John, hello.
Hi, Kim.
So how smoky are we talking about here? How bad is the air going to get?
Yeah, I spoke with air quality scientist Graham Carvelin today. He's with the Puget Sound Clean Air Agency, and here's what the central Puget Sound region, at least, can expect.
Currently, we're seeing some smoke overhead, but that could start to mix down to the ground over the course of this afternoon, and we expect further smoke coming in at ground level overnight. Today looks like maybe moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups air quality. Tomorrow, it's more likely to be unhealthy for sensitive groups to unhealthy.
Beyond Puget Sound, we've got air quality alerts covering pretty much the entire state as winds have shifted around and are sending wildfire smoke into areas that don't have much burning locally.
And where is all this smoke coming from?
Yeah, if you notice that haze high overhead this morning, that probably came down from British Columbia. Then we'll have smoke coming from across the Cascades this afternoon from the big fires that are burning in various parts of eastern Washington. One of the closest of those big fires is called the Little Giant Fire. It's burning about 50,000 acres in the Cascades just east of Glacier Peak and Snohomish County. So eastern Washington has been dealing with bad air, smoky air for weeks, and now western Washington gets to join in. The Cascades foothills could see some of the smokiest air as it spreads from east to west.
Yeah, I feel like we've been lucky here in the Seattle area. We really haven't had a lot of smoke so far this summer. Why are we seeing it now?
Yeah, we have been lucky with the wind so far. Smoke can travel long distances before descending again, still in very concentrated form. And now we're getting winds pushing the smoke from east to west. It is also early in the Northwest fire and smoke season, and we are having a very busy, possibly record-breaking fire year because of how dry the land and the vegetation is. Now Washington is in its fourth consecutive year of drought, and our changing climate has been leaving the Northwest with less winter snow and drier, hotter summers, and both those trends are making us more fire and smoke prone.
Exposure to smoke is, of course, a health risk. What should people who are experiencing smoky air do?
When smoke is bad, experts say you should limit your time outside and avoid strenuous activities if you can. The fine particles in wildfire smoke are not good to breathe. They can be much more toxic than tailpipe exhaust. So if you can, close your windows to keep smoke out and filter your air. If you don't have air conditioning, that can be difficult or even dangerous on very hot days like we are expecting this week. Other options include finding a library or movie theater or maybe a shopping mall or some other location with clean air-conditioned air if you can. I know that Federal Way is opening up a clean air refuge this week, and I've not heard of other cities or counties opening up any kind of clean air refuges or clean air shelters yet.
John, you mentioned how we're kind of at the mercy of the winds and the wind direction. Do experts have any idea how long the smoky air might last here in Western Washington?
Yeah, it's a kind of a difficult question because smoke forecasts are considered to be not very reliable beyond more than maybe 48 hours out. But forecasters are saying this smoke is likely to stick around Wednesday and Thursday and maybe clear out on Friday.
John Ryan is KUOW's environment reporter. John, thanks for your reporting on this for us today.
You're welcome, Kim.
KUOW's John Ryan speaking with Kim Malcolm. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. John O'Brien produced the interview in today's show. Our producer is Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers. I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. Hope you're staying safe. See you later.